Okay, I guess we're on. This video, um, I hate to put parts to it, but I have to say this is the first of a series. I want to say 1 through 10, but maybe I'm going to be less. But let's target 10 as a magic number. Sorry that I look like this, but as you all know, I work. So I'm making this video to help you, everybody, try to understand a little bit what's happening in the world of politics, in the world of economics, in the world of business, finance. Uh, I'll try to get into taxation, into the policy side of taxation. I'm not going to get into doing tax return type examples. I might do an example on tax returns, but basically I'm going to deal with taxation policy just so you be aware of it. And hopefully this video number 1 that I'm doing, and I'm going to classify it as number 1 when I do the little description and I upload it. It's going to focus on several topics, but the first one that I want to start off with, even though it's already a cliche, man, it's a run over, it's beating a dead horse to death, but I have to address the Trump administration issues and Trump himself. And in many ways, people just kind of go with the. I mean, I hate to say this in this fashion, go with the flow, but that's basically what they seem to be doing. They go with the flow. They don't really think, or just because somebody says I have $1 million or I have 10 millions of dollars, I don't need to pay for anything. I don't need to ask for any money. That's a bunch of baloney. I don't care if I'm Elon Musk and I'm running for office. I will need somebody to bankroll me in liquid money. I don't care about assets. Elon Musk and Donald Trump and Michael Bloomberg and the list goes on and on. They have billions of dollars, but all those billions of dollars, when you break it down into the accounting world, you find out that the liquid part, the hard cash, the moolah, it's not as much as we think. They might have liquid cash of $1 million. I mean that's feasible, or maybe more. But they liquid money more than $10 million. They don't have more than that in liquid cash. Most of their money is tied up in assets, which include physical assets, which include real estate, which include stocks and bonds. So it's all there. Land, it's all there. They have a business. A lot of that money is already tied up in the business. So like Elon Musk, he has a Tesla. That's a high capital intensive business. So yeah, he has a lot of money. I mean, net worth wise, net worth wise. But a lot of that money is tied up in Tesla because Tesla is a high capital intensive business. It's not like if I had a business of like international trade services or investment services. That's low capital. I would have the ability to have more liquid money, meaning hard cash, hard moolah. But on the flip side of having hard moolah, I would have less assets that would build up what we call the net worth of the person. So when you see Forbes 1000 or Forbes 500, check on the line that says net worth. This person's net worth is so much. Well, the net worth, when you break it down, it breaks down into those components that I mentioned before. So going on this into the presidency of Donald Trump, as you know, He, as you know, as you can see in the whole wrap up of this year, and I call it a wrap up because it comes to the conclusion. There's no fraud. Paxton, the Attorney General here in Texas, I mean, I think we should put him in jail, definitely, for slandering the states, for falsely submitting a lawsuit, for falsely going against the constitution of each particular state without having any bearings or anything that accounts for that lawsuit, just going on the basis that they had some fraud going because Trump said it. And he's a lawyer. Shame on him. Shame on him 10,000 times. Shame on him. He doesn't deserve the office of Attorney General here in Texas. And if this video can reach the ears of Greg Abbott, Mr. Ironside, I think he should use the wheels of his wheelchair as collateral for the lack of courage and kick him out. Nobody. If I was sitting in the governor's chair and my best friend was the Attorney General, I'd kick him out anyway. Put it in those blunt terms. Because he is not dishonoring me because I'm the friend. He's dishonoring the state, the citizens of the state, the Constitution of the state, by committing a slanderous, fraudulent lawsuit, instigating coercion into submitting to the courts voter fraud without having any evidence. Unless he wants to flag around and say, "Look at me, I did this, man. I'm tough." That doesn't count for toughness. That does not count for toughness. Sorry to say that. That's not part of the definition of tough. There's other people who are tougher than you calling yourself tough. And just because you go for some lady saying, "Oh, the Attorney General has submitted the Texas Rangers to apprehend this lady," you know, that's weak, man. That is weak. That shows how weak you are. So anyway, that's Paxton, the Texas governor. Then we have another clown, Ted Cruz, here from Texas too. I'm surprised Conley laid out a low profile. But Ted Cruz, that's another guy. They should boot him out. I mean, that Mitch McConnell should look over his shoulder and say, "This guy is not an asset. He's a liability. Kick him out of Congress." For one, he was part of an insurrection, because that's what it was. It was an insurrection. It wasn't just a riot. You know, there's been riots in the past. We can document. There's tons of documentaries and literature on riots. Protests. There's tons of literature and documentary and film. The FBI got tons of reels of thousands of miles of reels with documenting protest marches. Protest marches, I've been in them. I know what they're like. I did the Vietnam War marches. Not against the war, but against the maltreatment, the poor treatment, the injustice that was taken on the U.S. soldiers when they were coming back from Vietnam. The deplorable police, because here again, we say blue lives matter. I don't know about the blue lives matter. I say we need to reform the police, because for one thing, they criminally attacked the Vietnam vets. Many of the police, especially the little town police people. We should get those little town police people and reel them in and say, "Hey man, either you shape up or you shape out. There's no voter here. They could have voted you into this office in this puny little town, And that would be Greg Abbott talking. If I was in his place, I say the same. I say exactly what I'm talking about. I say, you puny little town man, you better straighten up. You don't treat poorly the soldiers. You better have a very good cause. And probable cause is not enough. Solid cause for you to treat and mistreat and incarcerate a soldier who went to defend this country. That's how we should treat the veterans that come here, with honor, not with disgrace, because that's what they did in the Vietnam War. And I stood against it, and I protested against it. I did the protest marches against that tyranny, because that's what I call it, tyranny. And I hope Greg Abbott listens to my tape, because this tape is directed directly to him. And I'm talking directly to him. And I challenge him in the best of ways that you should look closely at what you're doing, because much of what you're doing is not right. The coronavirus situation, that's a deplorable situation that you sucked up to Donald Trump. That's why I left the Republican Party. That's why I left the Democratic Party. And I'm an independent. I don't suck up to nobody. I mean, what's right is right. What's wrong is wrong. And a lot of things that you're doing, Greg Abbott, you're doing them wrong. Here in Texas, we should have more honor. More honor because, one, this was an independent nation once, and a lot of the people who are in East Texas and who are saying that we should secede from the Union, they should read its history. But they stand on one true foot. They have a false leg, but one leg is true. We were an independent country at one time, but we requested to be part of the Union of the United States, so we got annexed. So in this case, just like Puerto Rico can be annexed to be a state, a sovereign state of the United States. So that's why I say that we have more honor than some of the other states that were just rolled in. Illinois was just rolled in. It didn't say, "Oh, I'm an independent country and I want to be part of the Union." No, they didn't say that. They were just rolled in as a state. So that's why I say we have a lot more honor and more responsibility on what feet we walk in. A lot of the pro-Trumpers that are here in Texas should think twice because of who we are in Texas. Having said that, let's move on. Donald Trump advocated for law and order. So the question is, why did he pardon 146, which I would say only 5 of those 146 people deserve the pardon? The other 142 people, 141 people do not deserve the pardon because they are criminals. They are people who not only attacked the U.S., but also had some form of treason in their back pocket. And in other cases, they were just flat out murderers and scoundrels who should not be let loose because it's not a reward that what they did. It should be the U.S. should put an example, just like they should do with Ted Cruz, Josh Hawley, Jordan on the Congress side, over there with Nancy Pelosi, and several others. The Colorado congresswoman with the gun, who fights about the gun, who's a QAnon person. All of those people should be kicked out of Congress. Just flat out kicked out. Nancy Pelosi should be able to kick her out. Mitch McConnell and Chuck Schumer should be able to kick him out because they don't represent the people. We are not like they are. Because we are not equal, they should be kicked out. We, the people, do not want Ted Cruz there. And that's my statement. Nor Josh Hawley. It's a shame to Missouri. He brings shame to Missouri. And I'm speaking from Texas, and I used to work in Missouri. And I empathize with the Missourians. And I say Josh Hawley should move out, kick him out in shame because he dishonored the state of Missouri. There's many soldiers out of Missouri. And in the Army, they say, here comes the Missouri boys. Speaking in honorable terms. Not here comes Josh Hawley, a traitor, a treasonous person. He should not be in Congress represented as a senator. So if the Missourians hear this recording, they should think twice. And the governor there, whatever his name is, should yank him out and tell Chuck Schumer or Turtleneck to kick him out. Missouri doesn't deserve a person like that, and he does not represent the Missourians. Remember, your motto, the show me state. He didn't ask the question, show me the fraud. No, he just took verbatim what Trump said. Trump doesn't pass the smell test, in case you guys know what that means. Trump doesn't pass the smell test. He has no proof. He has no proof because he started saying that there was going to be fraud way before. Why didn't he do something about it? If he has so much power, and he has so many tools, why didn't he prevent the fraud from happening? Or was it his plan for there to exist fraud because he didn't want to be president no more because the place was going to shit? Sorry to use that word, Yahoo, but it's very descriptive. Or should I say that the United States was going to hell because of his mismanagement, and then everybody was doing their thing according to the way they thought that they should do it. They had no leadership. The only thing they knew is they sucked up to Trump. That was it. They could continue doing what they were doing in the way they wanted to do it without any leadership or anything. They just did it. And they threw all the monkeys into Trump's shoulder. I guess that's a way to look at it. But again, from a blue-collar worker down here, working 2 jobs, sustaining a family, paying the rent, paying the bills, eating once a day, I'm filling my belly full of bread. I'm going to be puffed up and say, hey, man, you're pretty well off. Yeah, well, I'm full of bread. That's all I eat. That's all that I can scrap up, bread. Well, at least that's something. Better than nothing. Better than a sharp stick in the eye. So I'm not going out there to steal or do anything. I'm just take one day at a time as it comes. I have the academic credentials, but I guess out there in the companies they don't want me for whatever reason. Well, whatever reason they have, I don't care. I just say one thing. We got rid of Donald Trump because he talked about law and order, and he was the first one to break the law and order code. So there's no honor in that man. There's no shame in that man. He's a shameless individual. He's a man who has no honor. He's a man who deceives the people. He bamboozles people. He criminally throws people under the bus. He wants to be praised. For whatever reason, he wants to be praised. of all the job, the other one is a job president. He only his fantastious brain, because that's what it is, a fantastious brain, and his daughter the fantastious brain too. Do they have all these millions of jobs that don't exist? And I'm still looking forward for Ohio to have manufacturing back in their backyard. And I'm still looking forward to Wisconsin and Michigan to having manufacturing in their backyard. And I'm still looking forward as to Iowa having manufacturing in their backyard. And to this day, they don't. The farmers. And I guess Pete Navarro, another person who is ashamed. I mean, I'm embarrassed of the man. He has brought shame to the profession. He has a PhD in economics, and I swear the man can't add two and two because he has this political bias. He's politically slanted. I don't know how he does how he does economic analysis, but he doesn't use the methodology I use. So he skews the numbers. He does everything skewed. He has a skewed brain. And whoever gave him the PhD should be ashamed of themselves, the institution, because he brings dishonor to the profession. So that's that guy. All this trade wars, man. Man, the guy, I don't know. There's no words to downplay the guy because he's already beyond the pit. He scraped plenty of money from the taxpayers. I hope it goes well, Peter Navarro. I'm ashamed of you. And I hope the institution that bred you is ashamed of itself for giving you the PhD. Pompeo, Fat Boy Pompeo, another shameful individual who was out there pumping himself away, disgracing the United States. What happened to the human rights, Pompeo? Human rights? We, here in the United States, we don't have human rights here. Why are you out there boasting about human rights when here at home we do not have human rights? Beginning with you, and beginning the way you treat the people in the State Department, human rights went out the door. Shame on you. Steve Mnuchin and the Fed guy, Federal Reserve guy, two people who could be considered bozos, plain and simple, sucking up to Donald Trump. I swear those are the two buffoons that I ever seen, and they're the closest thing to my profession. As a junior economist, I'm ashamed of both of those bozos. And one of them has a PhD in economics, another deception, big deception to the profession. At least Ben Bernanke tried to do something honorable, and at least Bush let him try to do. But now there's nothing like that. I'm sorry to say this. So, in the farewell address that Trump did, I hope he goes away and never comes back. With this, I wrap it up and say good night to everybody, and take care of yourselves, and may God bless every one of you. Thank you and good night.